it goes. Now the live stream is up and running. This shit right here is recording. Okay. The calendar says Father's Day, but horny politicians on the prowl for gay sex just want a boy who will call them daddy. What's on the other side of that glory hole? Sounds like it's a fresh episode of the Savage Sacktap, starting right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
Good happy Saturday morning here. I am Mike Montone. This is the Savage Sacktap. If you've been used to seeing me from the Shore House, I am taking a week off from the shore. We got Father's Day and some stuff going on this weekend, so the Montones are in North Jersey. June does bring us Father's Day, of course, and Pride Month for all you gays out there. I like that. I like that the gays, they get back at their fathers by spending the entire month of Father's Day parading around in assless chaps and thrusting their leather-clad crotches in step with the beat of a Madonna song atop a papier-mâché float on Christopher Street. Good for them. So what we're doing to celebrate Father's Day, we're going to have a little bit of what I call political sex scandal potpourri. It's the Father's Day edition. So it will focus on politicians who have kids, but also like to sneak around and look for a little gay sex on the down low. And it's usually Republicans. Sometimes you get a Democrat in there, but a lot of Bible thumping Republicans getting caught looking for wiener on the down low. We will do more of that later, and I'll kind of get into how the whole thing, the political sex scandal potpourri, came to be. But first, there was some shit going on this week. I can't completely ignore what's going on in the news and entertainment and in the world of the internet. We'll start with Zoomers. Generation Z absolutely fucking murdered millennials on social media. And yes, if you're wondering, if you're watching on a live stream, I am drinking bourbon at what is it, like 10:30 in the morning, 11? I don't know. It's a Saturday. I'm taking a back off week from working out because I was just exhausted. So I have jack shit to do other than record this podcast, and I have a little bit of light video editing going on. So I'm sitting here in the basement. I'm sweating my balls off because the window is closed because of this douche that lives next door has very loud phone conversations in the alley, and I didn't want it bleeding into the recording. So that's what we got going on. But yeah, back to Gen Z absolutely fucking up millennials on social media. Some chick tweeted it was a screenshot of a TikTok thread, and they were just dropping fucking bombs. They were making fun of the way millennials talk on social media, and a few of my favorites. They be 34 and talking about, I'm a Hufflepuff. Like, grow up and do a line of coke already. People that say adulting. Oh, biff. The millennial generation just, they fucking hate the word adulting. Another one, I hate adulting. Just give me a slice of pizza and wine. Like, Rebecca, you're 32 and an alcoholic. Please sit down. What else? Millennials be like, yikes, I'm adulting right now. I need to go get an avocado toast. Look, those are accurate. They are not wrong. The millennials have earned the reputation as the pussy generation. I'm an older millennial. I was born in '85, so thankfully I think we have a lot more in common with Generation X. And I know it's become like almost like this sort of cliche on the internet to shit on millennials, but the younger millennials really did make us look like just huge pussies. Things like paying bills, cooking dinner, and going to work don't constitute adulting. These are just basic human functions, right? You don't get to complain that adulting is hard because you live in fucking Brooklyn, you eat Seamless for dinner every night, and one day you had to change a fucking light bulb, and it took you 3 weeks. You were living with a burnt out light bulb for 3 weeks because you don't like adulting. You know what adulting used to mean? That you would have to go out and hunt, skin, and cook a fucking buffalo while staving off an Indian attack to make sure they didn't fucking scalp your family in the middle of the night out on the frontier. They didn't call it adulting. They just called it existing. I'm sure that sucks a lot more than having to go to fucking Walgreens and pick up a fresh pack of light bulbs and then go like this and screw them in. Jesus. I was reading an article right after the 2016 election, and they were asking why more millennials didn't vote. And I shit you not, one of them said he never registered because he gets anxious thinking about going to the fucking post office. Like, what? What the fuck does that mean? Like, I understand there are people who have, like, anxiety and stuff, but the overwhelming majority of them can get to the post office, right? You shouldn't be, the voice of the generation shouldn't be the guy who's too much of a fucking pussy to go send in some mail. He probably shouldn't be the one speaking for us. Like that, how the fuck did that become representative of the entire fucking generation? Ugh. So you get it when people are like, oh yeah, fucking millennials. And by the way, Harry Potter is fucking stupid, alright? Harry Potter is for children. Even the Zoomers, as they like to be, as Gen Z is being called, are closer to childhood than millennials, and the Zoomers think Harry Potter is fucking stupid. So yeah, no one deserves a bigger kick to the balls more than an adult Harry Potter fan. Grow up and do cocaine is actually a good suggestion. From the mouths of babes. Put the fucking Harry Potter down, do a line of blow, and act like a fucking grown-up. And look, I get it. If you want a story about fucking wizards and fucking sword fights and guys in weird hats, there's Game of Thrones. It has people getting their heads cut off and fully penetrative adult intercourse. You don't need Harry Potter anymore. And there are 10 years, I think, how many fucking seasons of Game of Thrones? Like seven or 8 seasons spread out over almost a decade of fucking Game of Thrones. Of people fucking and sword fighting and cursing and all sorts of awesome shit. You don't need Harry. If you're in your 30s, Hogwarts shouldn't be in your vocabulary. You shouldn't even introduce your kids to that shit. You should realize how fucking dumb it is. Ugh. As for the avocado toast thing, I know the avocado toast millennials meme kind of got blown out of proportion because millennials are always complaining that they're broke, and some rich guy once said in an interview, like, well, maybe if you guys spent less money on avocado toast at brunch every Sunday, and then everyone, we all fucking bitch, well, we got student loans and this and that, and the fucking recession. Look, I get it. I graduated during the fucking recession, too. I got out of the military. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. This was 2011. This was before there was, like, the internet obviously existed, but it wasn't like now where you can really, reach out to companies and it's interactive and stuff. The internet was still kind of basic as fuck in 2011. I had no idea how to get a fucking job. My first job with a college degree and 4 years of service as an officer in the Marine Corps, I went from being literally in charge of, like, over 100 people and hundreds of thousands of government equipment to making $20 an hour and not even getting full-time hours in the civilian world in a matter of months. So yeah, I get the whole we're fucking broke thing, and I had to pay off student loans at the time, and then I had to pay my own fucking health insurance because I only had a freelance gig. But you know what I did? I worked hard, and I advanced in my field, and now I get paid more. You don't get to sit around and bitch about being poor while you're freelance blogging making fucking $35K a year and then you go and you spend it on rent in Hoboken, and you go to fucking brunch you go to a boozy brunch every fucking Sunday. And this was going on, by the way. It's not as much anymore because the millennials have kind of grown up and have like kids and shit now. But this was legitimately a thing. I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago. It was that my Facebook and Instagram feeds were literally just people going to fucking brunch. And brunch in the Hoboken, New York City area is not a cheap affair. Like, yes, it's all you can drink or whatever. They get you boozed up. There's cheap booze prices, but you motherfuckers wind up spending like $50-$60 a brunch because they sit there from like 11 till whenever, just getting fucking hammered. I mean, it's an NFL Sunday. They stick around for games. Bitches are dropping fucking dollars eating brunch 4 times a fucking month, because it wasn't just like people would go out for one brunch and then call it quits. Brunch is a fucking blast. You go to brunch once, your ass is coming back over and over. You have some fucking fun at brunch. You want to see chicks getting white girl wasted? Go to brunch in fucking like Murray Hill or wherever in the city. It is an absolute shit show. Lots of fun, but again, if you're mired in student loan debt and you've decided that you want to be like Lena Dunham in fucking Girls and live like an aspiring writer in Williamsburg, you're going to have to crunch the numbers on the finances and realize that maybe this little fantasy life of yours isn't quite as affordable as HBO and Elite Daily make it look. But yeah, so that is a slightly dated reference, but you know what? The time-honored advice of spend less money on fucking takeout by preparing meals at home. Make your own. It's still solid advice, right? It's not brunch shaming or whatever the fuck BuzzFeed says. Just grow up and take responsibility for your finances, you fucking pussies. And the sad thing, like I said, it's not my entire generation that behaves like this. The older millennials, right? We played Little League before participation trophies were a thing. You used to be able to like bust each other's balls in the fucking schoolyard without it being called bullying. The halcyon days of the mid 80s through late 90s. You could still make movies about some fucking nerd having an exchange student over and webcamming her masturbating in his bedroom. We could all still have a good chuckle at that. American Pie. Thankfully, they haven't come for American Pie yet. I feel like it's going to happen. Like, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be running on HBO late one night. That's when I watch American Pie. They run American Pie marathons on HBO like fucking crazy. It's awesome. If you're ever up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and you're high off your tits, pop on HBO. I guarantee you will see Jim sticking his dick into an apple pie. And you will have a great time. But some fucking blogger is going to be watching HBO late at night, and they're gonna write a string of tweets or articles or whatever the fuck, and it's gonna be about how American Pie, it hasn't aged well and it needs to go away, and they are going to cancel the movie American Pie 20 years later. It's one of the great movies of all time. It is, in my opinion, it is the ultimate teen movie, at least for my generation. If you want to throw like Fast Times at Ridgemont High up against it, I'll have that conversation. Dazed and Confused is an amazing movie, but I don't really consider it a teen movie. I really think that American Pie is the perfect teen movie. I promise you, someone is going to try to retroactively cancel American Pie one day. We're not at that kind of fun anymore. By the way, older millennial generation, we are also the ones who witnessed 9/11 happen live on TV while we were in high school, and then signed up to fight in a 2-theater war as a result. What else did we do? Oh, we played football before the words concussion protocol were ever strung together. Yep, had a few of those. Yeah, older millennials are fucking savages. It is the pussies, the younger millennials, the ones who are in college in like, I want to say, like 2011 is when all of that insanity started unfolding. They started demanding like trigger warnings, and they wanted Halloween canceled, and you couldn't have a fucking Cinco de Mayo party anymore without being branded a racist. They got Apu removed from The Simpsons. Yeah, there is the younger millennials gave us a shit name. So we do need those pussies to clean it the fuck up, right? Grab some fucking sack. But by the way, this does not, just because the Zoomers drop some fucking bombs on us on social media, which again, those criticisms of this generation were absolutely accurate. Just because they did that, don't think that I don't see the fucking Zoomers for what they are too. I will not be cowed by a bunch of children who make dance videos on a fucking smartphone app. All right, you little shits. When I was your age, all right, these are the years the Zoomers are in now. It's something like, I think they're like 5 through 25. You know what kind of shit my friends and I were doing when we were your age? We were playing football, we were drinking, we were doing blow. Some of us were going to the Middle East and rubbing elbows with Arabs who would have gladly cut our fucking heads off and hung them from a bridge if they could. So you take your fucking Fortnite game and you can cram it up your fucking box. Or ram it, I should say, as Phil Leotardo said. You fucking pussy. These kids can't even go. They can't go within 500 yards of a fucking peanut without going into anaphylactic shock. All right. So step the fuck off. All right. Very, very funny. Well struck criticisms, but do not think for a minute that the older millennials, who, again, we're much closer to Gen X, I think, than we are to the younger millennials, don't think we're gonna sit around and let a bunch of little fucking teenage pussies who can't, they go into a deep depression if they're away from their fucking phones for more than 5 minutes. Don't think we're gonna let you just stomp on our fucking nuts because the younger half of our generation, which the younger half of the millennial generation has way more in common than with the Zoomers than they do with the older millennials. So you guys can all go just fucking 69 and suck each other to death, and we'll be out, playing fucking tackle football and doing stimulants and all the other fun shit we used to do. A little old man yells at cloud for you to start the Sacktap this week. Speaking of video games and going into shock, I really think that the Karens are further proof that we're living in some kind of a simulation, because I feel like they're going viral at a more and more rapid rate. We're seeing more of them. We had at least two more this week. One was, this guy was writing Black Lives Matter, I guess, in chalk outside of the building that he owns, and this yoga mom looking latte sip, this definitely the kind of chick who posts her pumpkin spice lattes on Instagram, comes up and asks him, whose property is this? Are you supposed to be the whole? She drops the "I know the owner" line on the guy, and people are fucking furious because, like I said, it's his building, and the implication is that because he is a man of brown skin, that he couldn't possibly be the owner of the building. And this bitch, I think her and her husband both got canceled. Again, I don't know that this woman is actually racist. Like, when I see these videos, a lot of times, unless there's like an ethnic slur used or something like that, I don't see a racist. I just see a person who likes to go around and enforce rules. Because I'm a white dude. I've gotten Karen'd a million times. I probably run afoul of a Karen a week. They are the chicks who asked the teacher to collect homework or fucking, whatever, like that. They just crave the structure and safety of rules, and they have lived this way their entire life, and their anxiety is so fucking high that anything that pushes them slightly outside of that bubble of safety just terrifies them and sends them into a tailspin, and they're used to being told that they can appeal to some kind of authority and that the safety will resume. So anything that shakes the fabric of their very sensitive brain just drives them absolutely nuts. And that's when you get these situations. I don't always think Karen is racist. I think in many occasions Karen can be racist. The second Karen that we had, I think, was probably racist. She was the sort of a classic riled up older woman. and I guess what happened was she was passed on the road by a black woman, and she hurled an ethnic slur. I'm sure you can guess which one, the one that starts with N and ends with R, at the woman, who then followed her to the police station and was recording her outside. And this is my favorite part. The black woman's recording Karen outside of the police station, and she says, why'd you call me the N-word? And the woman says, because you passed me on the road. She fucking admits it on camera. Prior to this, there was no video. All she had to do was say, I don't know what you're talking about. I never called you that. That's outrageous. Why would I say such a thing? But instead, doubles down and explains why she used the least popular. Well, it's probably pretty popular in certain areas of the country, but probably the least acceptable word in the English language, with reference to a black woman to her face. I mean, just absolutely. She has that late 60s, early 70s sort of. I don't know the best way to describe it. I think of it almost as tenured math teacher energy, if you can imagine what I'm saying. Like, if you'll kind of get where I'm coming from. I think if you went to high school in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there were always those like kind of old lady teachers who had been there since the 70s or 80s, and they kind of just fucked off at their job. They weren't very good at what they did, and they were always cranky and fucking grouchy, and they pretty much they didn't teach jack shit, but they would always be in the hall like yelling at people or disciplining someone. Like, that's the energy that they have. Like, I'm sure this woman has written things on Facebook like, well, you won't get arrested if you don't break the law, or don't resist and they won't have to use a chokehold, and they think that it's just like flawless logic. That is really, like, that is who I see. That woman who would blow up on the class during a lesson on integers because she happened to be going through menopause and things at home weren't so good, so she'd take it out on the students. Like, that's the woman in this video. Again, this chick definitely more racist than the other chick. I still don't know if she's like 100% racist, or she's just like an old book at the library. It's got that old book smell because it's just been crushed, but it's a paperback that's the binding's falling apart, and you're like, well, this was a useful book at one point. It's gonna fall apart soon. We don't have to throw it out. Someone might find some use for it, and then eventually it'll have its last day, and pages will fall out, and then we'll toss it in the garbage. Again, I think it's less of a bad person thing and more of an unhinged idiot thing. But like I said, I really do think that the Karens are further proof that we're living in a simulation. They're NPCs as I see it. And if you don't know what an NPC is, it's a non-player character. So if you've ever watched the show Westworld, or at least if you've watched a few episodes of season 1 of Westworld before it just became absolutely fucking absurd and completely impossible to understand. The NPCs are like the characters that just exist on sort of a track, and their interaction with everybody follows the same path. They're essentially programmed to behave in a specific manner. They don't have control over what they do. They don't have really lives outside of their little path. They just do it. When the tourists come, they interact with them in the same. It's like running into like a fucking robot at Chuck E. Cheese, and it says the same shit to you that it said to everybody else. That's sort of an NPC, right? They play out scenarios on a loop, and it really feels like Karens are just NPCs who are playing out this response to minorities on a pre-programmed loop every time they run into a black, brown, or yellow person minding their own business in a predominantly white neighborhood. That's the only thing I can think of. That, like, Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey are sitting around somewhere just cooking up the next level of the video game, and they're like, sprinkle in some more Karens. People seem to like those. We're getting a lot of good feedback on Twitter from the Karens. Yeah, there's been new fuckery unfolding on Twitter daily, by the way. Which I guess is always the case, but it seems like since we've been locked down, we've been able to have more eyes on it. Like, before the lockdown, people still kind of had to focus on their jobs. Now everyone's just glued to a screen. It's 24 hours in front of a screen. The latest is that apparently comedian Chris D'Elia has been trying to bang teenage girls. So, yeah. The Twitter account, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's called She Rates Dogs. I guess blew the lid off it, or I guess they were curating the complaints. And you see what it's like when I have to switch to a new notebook. Yeah, I don't. Where am I at here? There's the fucking page. Oh, this thing was all flipped over. Now we're good. Yeah. So She Rates Dogs is a Twitter account, and they are a great shitter read, if I may. I've been following them for right over a year now, and it is an incredibly entertaining Twitter account. It basically is just a collection of screenshots of creepy texts and DMs that guys send to women, and it's run by this chick Michaela, and she is part of this loose affiliation of like hot chick Twitter influencers who all they do right now, or all these chicks do generally, is shit on straight white dudes. I mean, it really is just, there's like a handful of chicks on social media who are making a killing as influencers who just shit on straight white males. And I'm gonna be honest, it's very entertaining. So some of the screenshots they get sent are they're just absurd. It's guys going off on fucking Tinder or Bumble or whatever about how the chick they're talking to is a whore because they won't meet up for a blowjob or whatever. And I don't know. I'm sure some of them are real. I'm sure some of them are fucking bullshit. I'm sure there's probably something online where you can craft fake messages and send them in. But it's hilarious. Like there's the collection of people who follow him. You have the angry white women who are cheering them on. You have the simps, if you're not familiar, men who constantly comment in support of aggrieved women online are referred to as simps. There are haters who are in there saying that it's all bullshit, and then there are guys like that. I'm just an excited onlooker, right? Just doing it for the lulz. It's very, very entertaining. I love waking up and going to take a dump, and you scroll through, and you're looking at some guy calling a girl a whore because she wouldn't suck his cock, which just seems counterintuitive, because you would think a whore would be all over that thing. That's what whores do. They suck cocks. But yeah, the chicks who may run these accounts are just, you could think they're cunts and that they suck and that you don't like them, but they are just fucking cleaning up. Like, they've certainly found a business model for it. Which is funny because a lot of them have been vocally supporting communism lately, which to a casual observer you'd be like, oh, these idiots are advocating against their own interests. What you don't really understand is that they're just pandering to idiots on the internet who hear defund the police, woo, communism, woo, fuck capitalism, woo, fuck white males, woo. They hear that and they're like, please take my money, not realizing that what they are engaging in is actually the purest form of capitalism ever, which is that's very funny to me. The thing that they don't excel at is logic. The thing they do excel at is taking idiots' money and exposing creeps. And apparently that list of creeps, well, allegedly, I shouldn't say apparently. Well, I think it borders on alleged and apparent. Includes Chris D'Elia. And in this day and age, I have kind of two thoughts. One, using the internet, anyone can frame anyone. So who the fuck knows? Two, a lot of dudes are way, way creepier with chicks than I think we could have ever imagined. Well, I think we could have imagined if we had taken a minute to think about it, But I guess what I'm saying is we shouldn't have been quite so trusting of dudes to not be creepy with chicks. I feel like it is just, you know, it's just there's just a recipe for that. And in this case, it does. If I had, again, this is just guessing based on the screenshots and stuff. The screenshots look incredibly damning. He was essentially, if you haven't seen him, just Google Crystalia and they'll pop up. But like, it's messages from chicks being like, I'm 16, and he's like, yeah, so come cuddle, and it's like, you probably shouldn't do that. Francis, who used to write for Francis Ellis, he's a comedian. He used to write for Barstool. He got fired for a little boo-boo he made there. He plays the piano, and he did a song where he names the age of consent in every state. And this is what's known in comedy or in writing or in the dictionary as satire, right? He was making fun of guys who seek out barely legal girls or chicks who are, borderline. He was mocking them because it's creepy and it's disturbing and it's weird. So this was his way through comedy and music to make fun of them. And you got to check it out. It's on. I retweeted it actually. If I look at Mike Montone on Twitter, you can see it. But idiots were still mad because they saw it and they believed that he was actually using his platform to direct predators to the states with the lowest ages of consent. I mean, how fucking stupid do you have to be? For a couple things. One, to think that a comedian would openly assist predatory sexual behavior on the internet just days after a colleague had his career ruined and his life and his weirdness exposed and everything through the allegations of predatory sexual behavior. And two, to not realize that age of consent information is widely available online. And if you're the kind of pervert who is going to look for age of consent information or look for a state that has a low age of consent, you're not waiting for Francis to write a fucking jolly song about it. You're just gonna fucking Google whatever state you're in, what the fucking age of consent laws are. That's what the creep does. That's what the fucking weirdo does. They don't wait for Francis to write a funny song. They say, you know what, I'm horned up for some barely legal pink. Let me see what states I can get it in the youngest. That's what they do. And then they go to Google and they find it, and any idiot can find the chart. Absolutely ridiculous. Fucking idiots. I'm just amazed. I'm getting to the point where I'm not sure if the idiots are actually in on it and they're playing the role of idiots for shits and giggles, kind of like the Paw Patrol thing. Not even like trolling. They're just like, they're falling into their camp and they're saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to purposely ignore things like context and, and tone and all of that, just so we can achieve whatever fucking social Marxist goal they're trying to achieve. But, oh well. On to the fun. I did promise, and it is time for political sex scandal potpourri, the Father's Day edition. And given the current climate in the country, we will also give a nod to the Black Lives Matter movement as well. This is, of course, where we look at the lighter side of political sexual misconduct. And like I said, it usually, but not always, features a God-fearing Republican embroiled in a gay sex scandal. I started doing this on the live stream back when I used to do the wake-up shows. You might remember, if you've been following for a while, it was before I started working for a morning show, and my wake-up turned into 2 a.m. When I was working just like a fucking 9 to 5 slug, I would do a show at like 5 or 6 before I went to work, and we did a lot of political sex scandal potpourri. And that's the kind of fun we're going to have today. It's Father's Day, so we're doing a political sex scandal potpourri involving men who have kids, because that's what Father's Day is all about. First up is, I don't know if you pronounce this, Todd Courser or Cursor, but he was a Michigan state rep of the Tea Party, so a little Republican offshoot. And I was looking at his picture. He's got a great circle beard, real middle manager energy. He looks like a guy, kind of like a guy, a little, spiky gel in his hair. He's kind of peaked in his career, doing okay, making 70, 80K, but it's never gonna get better than that. So he just cruises for ass on the side. And what I like about Todd Cursor, I actually admire Todd. It is a gay sex scandal, kind of, but not really. He told a staffer to send an email to thousands of Republicans indicating that he had been caught having gay sex with a gigolo behind a nightclub. Now, he told the staffer to send this email, and he asked to be described as a godless, addicted monster and a bisexual, porn-addicted sex deviant. You put those in your adult friend finder profile, you are going to clean up, but you might not want to email it to constituents. Unless you were doing it because you were banging a female colleague and her husband was blackmailing you over it. So what Todd did, and this is genius, he plans a fake smear campaign so that if the affair with the colleague ever came out, it would just seem like more in an unending stream of bullshit smears. Which, to me, this is the ultimate George Costanza move, right? I feel like this guy is definitely a Seinfeld fan, because this is like straight out of a George Costanza playbook, right? Like, I could see him sitting at the fucking the coffee shop with Jerry, plotting this, like explaining that someone was trying to blackmail him over an affair, and he felt that the only way that he could make this all go away was just to have someone release a bunch of outrageous stories about him so that no one thought any of them were true. And actually, in fact, I come to think of it, who did do this is Michael Scott. There is an episode of The Office when Michael Scott accidentally lets it slip that to everyone that Stanley is cheating on his wife, and to make up for it, he makes up lies about everybody in the office and spreads them around so that no one will know what is true and what is made up. So this is absolutely genius, and Todd has 4 kids, so kudos to him for, setting the example, for thinking outside the box and being an innovator. It did blow up in his face because apparently it's illegal to use government funds to hide your extramarital affair. But I think if his children apply the same audacity and ingenuity to the business world that their father applied to covering up his philandering, I think they're going to do quite well for themselves. So you know what? Thanks, Dad, and happy Father's Day to Todd Courser. I hope he is doing well, because he is a good papa. We're not done. We do have we have 2 more. Might want to gather around, children, so I can tell you the story of former Washington State Rep Richard Kink Curtis. Married with children, he was. Al Bundy, he was not. Curtis was apparently in is it Spokane or Spokane? I don't know. I've only flown through the Pacific Northwest. I've been through what is it, SeaTac? I've been through there a couple times on my way out to Okinawa. But apparently, old Kink Curtis met a guy named Cody Castagna in an adult bookstore in Spokane. I'm going to call it Spokane because that sounds like I know what I'm talking about. And took him back to his hotel room where of course they fucked, but then refused to pay the $1,000 that was requested of him for participating in the aforementioned act. And They say Curtis was a regular on the legendary Spokane adult bookstore gay sex circuit. According to witnesses, he was seen upstairs having sex with a man with a cane. And what struck me about this, I want to know if was the cane there for like medical reasons, or was it a fashion accessory? Because those are two different types of cane guy. One is sort of a debonair, fashionable, aristocratic gentleman who enjoys in taking part in a little gay sex. The other is, sort of a creep who has swollen feet from a bad case of the gout, but still wants to get sucked upstairs at an adult bookstore. I think, given that this is the adult bookstore gay sex circuit, I'm going to assume that it was the latter, and that it was like some guy who was like fucking hobbling around. I feel like that's who you bang at an adult bookstore. I see Kurt Tesla is weighing in the comments section. He's telling me that it is Spokane as in cocaine. So there we go, Spokane. A lot of guys having gay sex at the adult bookstores in Spokane, Washington. The details of the incident are quite lurid. They were laid out in the article. I have them here. He apparently dressed in women's lingerie and had the guy fuck him in the ass, like a good Catholic girl. And then he told Mr. Castagna that he wanted to switch things up and raw dog his boy hole, which I guess that's when the guy was like, you're gonna have to drop a little extra cashish for that, because that's a dangerous thing to do. And that's where it went south. He wouldn't pay the $1,000 the guy wanted, so the guy went public with their rendezvous, which again I do not have. Honestly, if that's what you want to do, fucking go for it. Fuck. I mean, look, people, you fuck chicks in the ass when they're wearing, if you're into dudes, you want to fuck a dude in the ass while he's wearing lingerie or whatever the fuck your kink is. Who gives a shit? You're not hurting anyone. Literally no one is injured by this. I don't know what his legislative record was. It seems, from the article I was reading, it seemed that he had been in favor of some anti-LGBTQIAA legislation. So the author of the article was kind of dancing on his grave a little bit. But in general, I don't, who gives a fuck what people do to get their jollies. I think better people be into weird ass freak shit than be one of those people who their version of sex is, not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes of making out, a minute of breast fondling, 10 minutes of penetration under the covers with, like I've said before, I'm hearing about a lot of only 3/4 erect penises pushing rope trying to get slid in, lights off, dude finishes into a bag or on her belly, and then it's fucking over. I think I have way more respect for the guy who's, cruising adult bookstores for fucking thick young cock than I do for the the tepid, limp, fucking terrible, boring, puritanical sex people. Might not be my bag. You're not going to see me upstairs with the man with the cane. Not a Mike Montone thing. But you know what? People got to they do what you got to do. If that's your kink, go for it. As long as it doesn't involve kids or animals or the incapacitated, have at it. Wide spectrum. Have fun out there. It's summer. Enjoy yourself. We've all been locked out. Oh, I'm now being corrected, and Kurt is telling me that it is Spokane is Native American, and I did have it correct. We're learning a lot today here on the Savage Sacktap. You can always, and if you are following on the live stream, or if you're a listener and you would like to to chime in and correct me when I'm wrong on the live stream, it is facebook.com/the Savage Crew. I'm on here streaming, about once a week or so. Usually a Saturday or Sunday. But I always think of these as, I call them high school reunion conversation pieces. That's what they are. When you wind up in the newspaper for something like this, they're going to be like three guys in fucking sport coats or blazers or whatever, standing around drinking whiskeys with their little drink tickets in their hands. They'll be like, hey, anyone here from Rich Curtis lately? What's he up to? The other guy's like, I don't know. I think I heard he ran for office in Spokane. And then the third guy comes in and is like, oh, so you guys really didn't hear, and pulls up the article, and everyone has a great chuckle and an interesting chat about old Kink Curtis. I wonder if he ever missed his kid's Little League game, because he is a father. I think he's got like 3. Did they say he had 2 or 3? I don't know. But he is a daddy in more ways than one. I wonder if he ever missed his kid's Little League game or like a school recital for a work trip that involved going to Spokane and meeting a guy in a bookstore to take him home and fuck him in the ass in a nice lacy pair of panties. Could you imagine that? You're the starting pitcher in the Little League championship game, and Dad's off, and you're about to take the mound. You got the glove that Dad got you for your birthday. You're really excited. Starting pitcher championship game, and meanwhile, Papa's down in Spokane getting choked out with that Argyle tie you bought him last Father's Day. That's good parenting. He's probably, I mean, look, let's be honest. If your name is Kink Curtis, and someone says to you, hey, what sounds like more fun? Going to a school fucking chorus recital? Or getting choked out with a necktie while some fucking hung young stud fills your boy hole up with his pecker? You know how Kink Curtis is answering. Kink Curtis is not interested in going to see a 5th grade production of Death of a Salesman, alright? It's not happening. Anyway, here's to Happy Father's Day to Richard Kink Curtis. This last one that we'll close on, I'm not sure if he has kids. He was tough to get too much family info on Wikipedia. I've actually discussed this gentleman before. From the great state of Florida, State Representative Bob Allen, a Merritt Island Republican. I don't know what goes on Merritt Island, but back in 2007, Bob was convicted of soliciting a sex act in a park bathroom, which sounds pretty bad to some people. But I think that history is going to be very kind to Bob Allen, because Bob was what he was arrested for was offering $20 to suck the penis of an undercover cop in the bathroom of the public park, which sounds like an entrapment to me. If you're an undercover cop with a big fat dick hanging out in a park bathroom, I mean, of course, there's going to be a sexual deviant who comes along and offers you $20 for a taste of that hog. That's just what happens in park bathrooms. You can't do that. This is one of those situations where I feel like, in the movies when they're like, hey, you gotta tell me if you're a cop. Like, I feel like that's one of those situations where he's gotta tell you if he's a cop. Not that I would know about deviant gay sex in park bathrooms, but my father and my brother tell me all about it. They're big fans of John and Joey Montone. They do love a good public park bathroom romp. That's how they bond as father and son. They go out, they cruise for well-hung black men in park bathrooms. But Bob Allen claims that he only did it because he was afraid that the muscular black cop was going to rob him. First of all, we were talking about Karens before. this is the ultimate Karen defense, right? The Karens freak out whenever they see a black person in an area that they believe should be all white. So this is literally like Bob was saying, that he walked into the bathroom, he saw a black guy who looked out of place, and he thought, the only thing that is getting me out of this situation is if I hand over $20 and offer to suck his dick. Like, that is Karen to a T. That is exactly how a Karen would see this situation playing out. But here's the thing. In the year 2020, a Republican lawmaker handing a black man money and offering him a blowjob, that is like the ultimate woke awakening. I don't know if you've seen these videos going around on Twitter. They're washing they're washing black guys' feet, and they're wearing the kente cloths, and they're taking a knee, and they're in the chop in Seattle. They're demanding that if you're a white person, you give like $10 to the first black guy you see. I mean, this is exactly what they want. I mean, Bob Allen, he went a step further. He offered the blowjob. This guy goes from being a member of the Christian Coalition in a hardcore Republican southern state. This is as GOP as you can get. And then, in the snap of a finger and the unzipping of a fly, he becomes a member of the LGBTQ community, handing black guys cash reparations and offering to top it off with a juicy blowjob. He's a fucking hero! I mean, this guy is a social justice warrior. I don't want to hear about some shithead on a Twitter account from his parents' basement talking about, yeah, I'm a rich white guy, but let me tell you something, all capitalists are bullshit and Black Lives Matter. You know what? That guy's not doing shit for the movement. Bob Allen, handing out 20s and sucking black penises. I mean, this guy could single-handedly cure race relations in the United States. So, Bob, if you're out there, get that checkbook out, get on your knees, and make your father proud. All right, that is it. Happy Father's Day to all of my friends out there who are engaged in deviant public bathroom sex, and just the ones who are too dumb to figure out how to pull out and come on her belly. You guys have a great Father's Day. I'm sure you'll be fucking barbecuing or whatever the fuck it is kids do on Father's Day. I don't fucking know. I am going to be available on Twitter at Mike Bontone. Facebook.com/The Savage Crew is where you can find this lovely live stream. At Gary_Moyler, Moyler, on Instagram. Where else are we? Swipe right on me on Bumble if you see me. I'm very handsome and charming. Look at this chiseled jawline. You can't see it if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, of course, which is available at thesavagecrew.libsyn, LIBSYN.com, and Podbean, and iTunes, and Stitcher, and Pocket Casts, and all of the other, wherever the fuck podcasts are downloaded. I threw it in. It's in, like, every fucking, whatchamacallit, a podcatcher you can imagine. So, yeah. That's that. I don't fucking. This is what happens when I drink whiskey on an empty stomach in the morning. Not good. Anyway, all right. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you. Who we got? We got a bunch of people checking in. Kurt Tesla, Frankie's here, Jeff Morrow. With so many fun people checking in on the live stream. Do be sure to jump in and watch a live stream and share all this shit with your friends. Guys, have a great time and a wonderful Saturday. I will catch you laters.